Welcome. Today, we are exploring a deeply impactful but often overlooked chapter of history, the roots of resistance in the Aravallis. Between 1883 and 1952, the indigenous Bhil, Garasia, and Meena tribes organized a formidable stand against the powerful alliance of British Imperialism and Rajput Feudalism. What drives a community to rise up? For these tribes, it was a multi-front assault on their very way of life. Economic strangulation: the state crippled them economically by banning their traditional mahua liquor and imposing massive tax hikes on essentials like opium, tobacco, and salt. Destruction of agriculture: their traditional agricultural practices were systematically destroyed. Erasure of autonomy: in 1818, traditional highway and guarding taxes, known as bolai, were abolished. Mass unemployment: Bhil soldiers faced mass unemployment as local kings began outsourcing their military protection. Military burden: the tribes were subjected to bugger or unpaid forced labor. Funded oppression: they were ironically forced to fund the very forces policing them, such as the Mawada Battalion established in 1822 and the Mewar Bhil Corps in 1841. Census fears: the 1881 census sparked deep, widespread fears among the communities. Cultural interference: the state mandated sudden bans on deeply rooted social traditions, like Mewar Maharana Swaroop Singh's 1853 ban on the Dakan Pratha. This oppression sparked resistance across three main epicenters. Epicenter 1, the Wagar region saw the Bhagat or Lasidia movement led by Govind Guru. What began as a spiritual awakening evolved into a highly organized quest for an independent Bhil Raj. Epicenter 2, in Bhoma and Siroi, Motilal Tejawat led the Eki, or Unity, movement. This was a structured, rights-based economic boycott aimed at completely paralyzing the feudal revenue system. Epicenter 3, in Jaipur and Sikar, the Meena movement launched a sustained campaign of legislative defiance against draconian, state-imposed criminalization. Let's look closer at the Wagar region. The movement here was awakened by Govind Guru, a man born to a Banjara family in Vedasa, Dungarpur. Deeply influenced by the reformist ideals of Dayanand Saraswati, he established his first fire pit, Ordhuni, and flag in Basian. His strategy was brilliantly phased. Step 1. Spiritual and moral uplift, promoting monotheism, renouncing alcohol, and ending theft. Step 2. Economic independence, emphasizing the exclusive use of indigenous goods and self-reliance. Step 3. Social unity, culminating in the creation of the Samp Sabha in 1883 to forge unbreakable harmony among the Bhil tribes. Govind Guru didn't just protest, he built a parallel structure to escape colonial slavery. While the colonial feudal state relied on a hierarchy of the Maharana, Jagirdars, and revenue and police officers, Govind Guru decentralized power. He established a network of dhunis in every Bhil village, overseen by an administrator known as the Kotwal. These Kotwals acted as judges and administrators, settling local disputes and entirely bypassing state courts. By 1910, this parallel power was so strong it forced the Jagirdar of Palpatta in Ida to sign an agreement accepting 21 binding conditions set by the Bhils. Tragically, this peaceful assertion of autonomy met with brutal violence. On November 17, 1913, the Samp Sabha convened peacefully on Mangar Hill in Baswara. British-led police forces encircled the hill and opened fire. Over 1,500 Bhil men, women, and children were killed in what is known as the Jallianwala of Rajasthan. Govind Guru and his aide Punja Dhirji were arrested. Guru's life sentence was later commuted to 10 years, and he was permanently exiled, spending his final years peacefully lecturing in Cambia, Gujarat. Following this, a new catalyst emerged, Motilal Tejawat. Working in the Jharol Thikana, he witnessed the absolute destitution of the tribes, resigned from his post, and forged a massive tribal unity known as Eki. Affectionately called Babaji, or the Messiah of the tribals, he drafted the Pukar of Mewar. This was an uncompromising manifesto of 21 explicit demands presented directly to the Mewar Maharana, supported by Jat farmers led by Gokulji Jat. When ignored, the movement spread like wildfire across Mewar, Wagar, Siroi, Idar, and Vijayanagar. In Siroi, the strategy was systematic non-cooperation. Agricultural sabotage: tribes raised sesame crops but entirely refused to pay the state's traditional revenue share. Security boycott: they halted traditional guarding duties along the lucrative Abu Road Ambaji commercial route. Direct action. This included the total destruction of the Mungthala station and the targeted looting of corrupt revenue officers' homes. State paralysis. Feudal revenue dried up entirely. Attempts at mediation failed. Even when Diwan Ramakant Malviya invited Vijay Singh Pathik to mediate, the February 12, 1922 meeting at Gopeshwar could not resolve the systemic exploitation. The state's response in 1922 was swift and violent. March 6, 1922, during the Nimada massacre, Major Sutton opened fire on a gathering, killing over 1,200 Bhils. Tejawat miraculously escaped. April 12, 1922. In the Siawa destruction, 3 Garasists were killed, and 40 tribal houses and crucial grain storehouses were deliberately burned to starve the movement. May 5 and 6, 1922, Major Pritchard led a coordinated shootout at Balolia and Bhula, leaving 50 killed and 150 injured. These atrocities were investigated and exposed by Ramnarayan Chaudhary and Satya Bhakt in Tarun, Rajasthan. Ultimately, Tejawat remained underground until surrendering in 1929 at Gandhiji's insistence. He was finally released in 1936 by Mewar's Supreme Court on a strict 30 rupee state allowance. Meanwhile, the Meena community faced a different kind of violence, the stigma of the law. The Draconian Criminal Tribes Act of 1924 categorized the entire Meena tribe as born criminals from birth, stripping them of presumed innocence. The local enforcement mechanism, the Jairam Pesha Act of 1930, mandated that every single Meena man and woman must mark their attendance at a local police station daily. The reality was an entire community forced into daily humiliation and trapped in perpetual, legalized surveillance. But the Meena community fought back with a brilliant, phased strategy. Cultural Awakening, 1944, Jain Saint Magan Sagar convened the Neem Ka Thana Conference and wrote the Meen Purana, reminding the community of their glorious ancient history, leading to the formation of the Meena Reform Committee. Institutional organization, leaders like Chotulal Jharwal, Banshidhar Sharma, and Lakshminarayan Jaharwal built the Meena Regional General Assembly to coordinate defiance. Mass defiance. On December 28, 1946, at the Bagwas Conference, 26,000 watchmen Meenas resigned their posts en masse in a highly coordinated action celebrated as Liberation Day. Victory. Relentless pressure, including letters from Thakur Bapa to Jaipur Prime Minister Mirza Ismail, finally led to the total abolition of the Jairam Pesha Act in 1952 by Hiralal Shastri and Tikaram Paliwal. When comparing the 3 major tribal resistance movements, distinct differences emerge in their catalysts, strategies, and ultimate outcomes. The Bhagat movement was primarily driven by spiritual and moral degradation. To combat this, the movement's key strategy relied on establishing a parallel government and fostering spiritual unity. Tragically, the state responded to this peaceful organizing with a military massacre at Mangad in 1913, which resulted in the exile of the movement's leadership, though the community's distinct identity ultimately survived. In contrast, the Eki movement was sparked by extortionate taxes and forced labor. The tribes pushed back by employing strict economic boycotts and non-cooperation as their primary strategy. The state retaliated brutally with coordinated military massacres throughout 1922. This movement eventually achieved partial agrarian relief, although its leadership was successfully contained by the authorities. Finally, the Meena movement was catalyzed by strict institutional criminalization. The Meena community fought back by reclaiming their cultural history and executing highly coordinated mass resignations. This strategic defiance forced an eventual legislative surrender from the state, culminating in a definitive victory with the total repeal of the oppressive acts in 1952. Over the decades, the evolution of this subaltern resistance showed remarkable growth. Phase 1, Spiritual Isolationism. Resistance required creating parallel, insular societies like Govind Guru's Dhunis, which the state met with absolute military annihilation. Phase 2, Documented Economic Action. Resistance transitioned to codified political demands, like the 21 Demands, and strategic economic sabotage under Tejawat. This was met with violent suppression but forced state mediation. Phase 3, Integrated Democratic Defiance. Ultimately, resistance utilized historical literature, coordinated mass resignations, and alignment with national democratic leaders like Gandhiji and Thakur Bapa. This resulted in a permanent legislative victory. The legacy of these indigenous movements is profound. Shattering the feudal myth, they exposed the inherent vulnerability of the British Rajput alliance, proving that marginalized groups could economically and administratively paralyze the state. The vanguard of democracy, by building organizational networks, hosting vast assemblies, and demanding codified rights, these tribal movements laid the essential groundwork for the wider pro-democracy Prajamandal movements. Enduring architects of dignity, leaders like Govind Guru and Motilal Tejawat are immortalized today. They are remembered not just as tribal heroes, but as the earliest, fiercest architects of subaltern dignity and civil rights in modern Rajasthan. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment if you enjoyed this quick revision.